What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're doing well, feeling great, and enjoying freedom. It's a great day to have a great day. It's a great day to be the owner of some real deal silver and some real deal gold. In today's video, I wanted to talk about gold. I'm going to talk about a little bit of silver too, but I want to talk about and primarily focus on the beautiful yellow metal. And I want to talk about the idea or answer the question, is gold going to get to a point where it's unattainable? A point where the spot price of gold goes so high, we can't even afford a little 1 gram gold bar. I want to talk about this, and I want to talk some of my gold stacking strategies and some of the concepts that I've come up with in the 7.5 years that I have been stacking for. We're going to get into it, but really quick, just in case you're new, make sure to subscribe for a bunch of videos, subscribe to my second channel for bonus videos, and follow me on social media at Mykie DYDSS across all platforms. And 3 very quick things before we fully dive into the video. Number 1, if you haven't already, try you out some Celsius Energy. That's right, it's a healthier alternative to the other energy drinks out there. You can get a 12-pack variety pack on Amazon right now. I'll leave an affiliate link in the description so you can try out the different flavors, see which one you like best. 2, if you're not already investing and you would like to start investing, make sure to download Webull and fund your account. They're going to give you some free stocks just for doing so, and they make it really easy for new investors to start investing because of how simple it is to navigate around on the app. Webull link in the description. 3rd and finally, if you need any silver or gold stacking supplies, whether it be airtight tubes and capsules, whether it be anti-tarnish paper, whether it be mini lock boxes, safes, microscopes, the list goes on, any stacking supplies will be linked in the description for your convenience. Alright, so, in today's video, I wanted to talk about gold. And as you can see on screen, I have a very small selection, a very small display of gold. It's sitting on top of a much nicer display of silver. So for those of you who don't know, I started stacking silver at the very end of 2017. I believe it was like November or probably December of 2017. That's when I got my very first piece of silver. And I continued stacking silver going into January of 2018, February of 2018, March of 2018. And at this point, I believe it was March, could have been February, March, whatever. It was Q1 of 2018. That's when I decided, you know what? Obviously, I was a rookie stacker at the time. Only had a couple of months in the game. Still learning a lot. Here I am 7 going on 8 years later. Still learning a lot. But at the time, very, very new. Very, very raw. Very, very green. Or should I say very, very silver. Point being is that I was still trying to absorb as much information as I possibly could. And I decided for myself, you know what? If I had to pick between the 2 metals, it would absolutely be silver. And by the way, 7.5 years later, I could say the same. If I had to choose, it would be silver. But realistically, the answer is both. But I remember thinking to myself at the time, you know what? Even though silver is my precious metal of choice, I like the fact that there appears to be a little bit more opportunity in the beautiful white metal. The beautiful yellow metal is gold for a completely different reason. It's what I consider to be the powerhouse metal, the metal that represents stability and security, the metal that offers a little bit more of a cushion. See, silver's a little bit more, or I shouldn't say a little bit more, silver is quite a bit more volatile, a little bit more unpredictable, where gold, much more stable, and does a far better job holding its own. It doesn't see as big of swings in downward or upward directions. It's a little bit more, you can lean on gold a little bit more comfortably, is what I'm saying. So I understood this to be true early 2018. And I decided, you know what? I'm not super into gold at this time. I'm a bigger believer in silver, But you know what I'm an even bigger believer in beyond silver? Diversification. So I decided I wanted to get my very first piece of gold. So I did. The spot price of gold at the time was about $1,300, which is insane to think about because if you look at the spot price today, or the spot price as I'm filming this video, spot price of gold at the moment is $3,022. Spot price of gold when I started stacking it, about $1,300. So it's more than doubled since I first started stacking gold. But being that I wasn't really comfortable putting a tremendous amount of currency value into a larger piece of gold, I decided to go with one of the smallest denominations of gold that you can go with. So I chose to go with a little 1 gram gold bar. That was my very first piece of gold, and it was the very last 1 gram gold bar that I picked up. Because after that, I decided to go with slightly larger, but still small denominations of gold. But let's talk about this really quick. This little 1 gram gold bar. I picked this up when the spot price was a little over $1,300 per troy ounce. If you're wondering how many grams it takes to get to a troy ounce of gold or a troy ounce of silver, the answer would be 31.103 grams. So you would need 31.103 of these for a full troy ounce of gold. That's how many of these it would take. So we'll just call it 31, just for the sake of being a little bit more simple. Take about 31 of those, just a hair more than 31 of those, to equal a troy ounce of gold. Now, I don't know what my primary objective was at the time. I know I put them in, or put it in this particular little air type because my goal was to put like 6 in each one. My plan was to get a second one, and then a third, a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth. I wanted to have like 6 in each of these right here, these little airtight capsules for, well, designed for little silver bars. But I was like, hey, you know what? I could fit 6 even smaller gold bars in there. I don't know what I was thinking. Like I said, I was a rookie stacker at the time. Didn't really have a true roadmap at the time. But I knew I wanted to get my first piece of gold, so that's exactly what I did. Now, being that one of these takes about a little more than 31 of these to equal a troy ounce of gold, and a troy ounce of gold at the time was going for $1,300, it means that this right here was really only worth about 40 bucks. $41, $42, obviously excluding the premium. Premium included, I really don't remember. Probably paid 50 or something like that dollars for it. And at the time, I thought it was absolutely worth it. At this time, I still think it's absolutely worth it. However, I would also argue that it's even more worth it to go with larger denominations. And by the way, we will be talking about the rise that we've seen in gold, the spot price of gold continuing to move in this upward direction and getting to a point where it could potentially be out of reach. It could potentially get to the point where we can't get our hands on gold anymore because of how high the spot price is. We are going to get there. I want to take you on this gold stacking journey of mine really quick, though, because it's going to make everything make a lot more sense. So after I got this little 1 gram gold bar, I decided to start stacking 10th ounce gold coins. Now, it wasn't so much the size of the piece of gold that I was after. I was like, you know what? I don't want the 1 grams. I want the 10th of a troy ounce denominations. It wasn't so much that. It was more so focusing on coins as opposed to bars. Government minted bullion. That's kind of what I was after at the time, and same could be said about the way that I was stacking silver. This was right around the time that I decided to focus way more on American silver eagles and making the Canadian maple leaf the second in command for my silver stack. I was going after, at the time, low premium government minted coins. So for silver, it was, man, if I had to guess, probably 75% silver eagles, 25% maples is how I was going about acquiring my silver. When it came to gold at the time, it was 50-50 between the 10th ounce gold eagle and the 10th ounce gold maple. I was going back and forth between the two. I'd save up a little bit of currency and I would get myself a 10th ounce Eagle, which at the time when spot price was $1,300-$1,400, only worth about $130 to $140. You factor in a little bit of a premium, it's gonna bump up the price a little bit, but based on the spot price, how much it was worth, how much that little amount of gold was worth, about $100 to $140 so dollars, somewhere within that range. So I was going back and forth between the two, Eagle, Maple, Eagle, Maple, Eagle, Maple, and then, man, it had to have been 2019, maybe 2020. I came up with this idea. I came up with a gold stacking concept, almost like a game. It was almost a game. I don't know even what else to call it. A project, something that I could work on little by little. And I introduced it right here on my YouTube channel. And there were a lot of people that listened to my idea and said to themselves, hey, you know what? That sounds fun. I'm going to do it too. And it was called the International Troy Ounce of Gold. It was like a challenge, a project, a challenge, a game, something. Don't know what it was. But here was the concept. It was to get 10 different 10th ounce gold coins from 10 different countries. So based on the 10th ounce gold coins that you're looking at, obviously I have more Eagles and Maples stashed away, but I have one of each, plus a few others, on the screen right here. So we have a 10th ounce gold maple leaf, Philharmonic, Eagle, Krugerrand, Kookaburra, and Britannia. So, Britain, Australia, South Africa, America, that's right, Canada, and Austria. I got 60% of the way to my goal, which was 10 different 10th ounce gold coins from 10 different countries. Just as an example, the next one I could have gone for, potentially a 10th ounce gold Libertad. Mexico. That could have bumped me up to 70%. After that, what could I have done at that point? I don't know, maybe the Somali elephant? 80% of the way there? What's after that? I don't know, maybe the Chinese panda? Bump me up to 90%? And then what could I do after that? Oh man, I am drawing a blank off the top of my head. but point, here's an idea for you guys. Leave in the comments. What could the 10th one been? I'm drawing a blank off the top of my head. But point being is that I got 60% of the way there, and I had realized that spot price is kind of moving in an upward direction, and I was kind of beginning to focus a little bit more on lowering premiums to the best of my ability. So at that point, I started stacking quarter ounce gold coins. So when it came to gold, two things could be said. Number one, I was inconsistent with my gold stacking ideas that I was coming up with, but I was consistent with continuing to pick up gold. Yeah, my ideas have changed. Yeah, I might have scrapped certain ideas. I was like, yeah, I want to get, 31 of these so I can have, an ounce of gold in one of the smallest denominations possible, broken up into 31 different pieces. I want to get an international troy ounce of gold. I want to stick exclusively with maples and eagles and go back and forth between the two. No, I want to go to quarter ounce gold. So yeah, I've come up with different ideas along the way. I've picked up a variety of different gold coins from all over the place, gold bars, etc. Different denominations, 1 gram, 10th ounce, quarter ounce, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, it's been a little sporadic, but guess what? I've consistently, or at the time, I consistently was getting more and more gold. And guess what? I wasn't stacking gold all that aggressively. Every once in a while, I'd pick myself up a new coin. I was primarily focused on silver, but guess what? I was little by little adding to the gold stack as well. And I'm very glad that I did, because the spot price of gold when I had first started stacking, like I said before, was about $1,300. Didn't take all that long for it to go to $1,400 and then $1,500, $1,600, $1,700. And if memory serves me right, I'm pretty sure around $1,800 is when I ended up stopping picking up gold. And it wasn't because I thought that the price was too high. That wasn't it. That's when I became way more focused on silver. And I wanted to get a larger denomination of gold. I wanted to go for something like maybe a half ounce or a full troy ounce gold coin. And that's probably not what I would have stuck with. I did really want to get that gold buffalo, but at the end of the day, I just figured silver is probably the smarter move for me. Everybody's stacking for different reasons. Everybody has different goals. Everybody has different priorities. Everybody's at a different stage in their life. And for me, personally, the stage my life, it makes a lot more sense to be focusing on silver at this time. So the spot price today, over $3,000 per troy ounce. If you wanted to get a little 1 gram gold bar today, or let's just say hypothetically, all you have in your pocket is $100, and you somehow miraculously were offered a little piece of gold at spot. How much gold could you get with that $100 today? Well, guess what? If you had $100 in your pocket today, all you would be able to get is this right here. If someone offered it to you at spot, because that would bring this thing to about maybe $96, $97. If you didn't have to worry about a premium, this little teeny tiny piece of gold is worth about $100 almost right now. A little 1 gram gold bar, a piece of gold that's so small. It's smaller than your fingernail. It is such a teeny tiny increment of gold. So much value is somehow packed into such a tiny little itty bitty piece of metal. And the spot price was $1,300 when I first started. This thing was only worth about $40. And right now, it's pushing $100. These little 10th ounce gold coins, I got a lot of them when spot price was maybe $1,400, $1,500. $130, $140, $150, maybe $160 a piece, excluding the premium, of course. The premium bumps it up by another, I don't know, $10, $20 at the time. The quarter ounce denomination, that Philharmonic that I was showing off before, let's just say I got it on when spot price was a little bit higher for me at the time, $1,700. This thing right here, excluding the premium, $425. Today, that would obviously be a little bit different. Spot price today is $3,000. This thing wouldn't be $425. Today, this would be $750 plus a premium. So the spot price of gold has obviously made moves. Same could be said about silver, but we're focusing on gold right now. So what happens if the trend continues? What happens if we get to a point where the spot price of gold, which is just recently hit a brand new all-time high? What happens if it climbs to a new all-time high? $3,100, $3,200, $4,000. What happens if we see numbers like that in the near future and beyond? $4,500 per troy ounce of gold, $5,000 per troy ounce of gold. $5,000 if you want to get a little teeny tiny itty bitty 1 gram gold bar. If the spot price were to go that high, you're looking at $160, probably more, plus a premium for just this little teeny tiny itty bitty piece of gold. $160 today, currently worth about $100 or just under $100. When I started stacking 7 years ago, $40. So much value, that's the point I'm trying to make here. So much value is packed into such a tiny little itty bitty piece of wealth. So what would happen if we got to that point? Put yourself in those shoes. Get to a point where gold is borderline unattainable. Get to a point where we can't buy gold anymore because of how valuable it is. See, that's kind of the purpose of having fractional gold coins. Being able to acquire gold, being able to stack gold, buy gold, fractional denominations, because maybe we can't afford a troy ounce of gold. Maybe we don't have $3,000 laying around, but we have $300, $400, and we get ourselves a little 10th ounce gold coin. Same could be said about the stock market. You think everybody in the world out there can afford Costco stock? Probably not. It's $900 a share, but guess what? If you have $90, you can buy a tenth of a share. Fractional shares exist for a reason. Same way fractional gold exists for a reason. We can get our hands on smaller increments of gold. Yeah, there's a premium that comes attached to it, but we can get fractional denominations, fractional increments of gold, because we don't have enough cash. We don't have enough capital to get a full troy ounce of gold. But what happens if we get to the point where we don't even have enough capital to get our hands on fractional gold? Number one, here's the most important thing to remember. If you have fractional gold or any gold in your possession and it gets to the point where we can't afford gold, remember, that is a great problem to have. That's a fantastic problem to have. If you, little by little, worked your way up, stacking silver, stacking gold, mainly gold, let's focus on gold. If little by little, you saved up enough cash to exchange, convert into real money, the beautiful yellow metal, gold, coins, rounds, bars, whatever. If you got your hands on some gold, whether it be just a handful of gold, or maybe quite a bit of gold. Maybe you primarily focused on gold or aggressively stacked gold for years, decades even. There are a lot of people who watch my videos. They tell me they've been stacking for 20-something years, 30-something years. You think that they have little to no silver or gold? No, they have quite a bit of silver and gold. They've put decades into their stack. And I would imagine that they have at home, or wherever it is that they store their coins, rounds, and bars, a mountain of wealth. So regardless of how long you've been stacking for, or how much gold you have in your possession, if you feel like you don't have enough gold, guess what? I'm in the same boat. I'm pretty satisfied with how much silver I've stacked over the years, and if I had to stop today, I wouldn't be totally heartbroken. I would love to keep on going, but I'm pretty content with the amount of silver that I have. And little by little, I add a little bit more. Gold, very, very, very unsatisfied with how much gold I have. I have nowhere near enough. A lot of people know their own personal gold to silver ratio. See, the gold to silver ratio, or what is it, like 1 to 90, something like that? My personal gold to silver ratio is probably way worse than that. Probably nowhere near 1 to 90. I don't even know what my gold to silver ratio is. But it doesn't make sense. It's nowhere near the actual gold to silver ratio. So if you've picked up a little bit of gold, and if you're in the same position as me, where I don't want to say disappointed in yourself, because you shouldn't be disappointed in yourself. If you are unsatisfied with the amount of gold that you've picked up, if you feel like I wish I had so much more. First of all, everyone in the world that's stacking gold is going to say that. Wish I had more. But regardless of how much gold you have and how much gold you've picked up over the years, doesn't matter. Regardless of how much, whether it be just a couple little coins, and the spot price keeps on moving in this upward direction, it's going to have its dips along the way. It's going to have its corrections. It's going to have its pullbacks along the way, but overall has that upward trajectory. And it gets to the point where we can't even figure out a way to save up enough cash for the smallest amount of gold possible. You can get yourself the little 1/20th of a 1/20th of a troy ounce gold coin. They make coins half the size of these little 10th ounce pieces. little 1 gram gold bar, half a gram gold bar. You can cut it in half. You can break it down even further. You can get into that micro stacking. But guess what? It's still going to be high, the price tag attached to it. And if it were to get to the point where we can't afford to get ourselves gold, we can't get our hands on any more gold, it's completely out of reach. If it got to that point and you have gold, any amount of gold in your possession, you gotta understand that is a good problem to have. And if you were to take a look at what the gold to silver ratio is, whatever that gold to silver ratio is at that point, and it's still very, very, very far apart from one another. A gold to silver ratio that doesn't really quite make sense. You could, in theory, take some of that gold and trade it for potentially a ridiculous amount of silver, if that's what you wanted to do. If the gold to silver ratio is still really far apart and not in your favor, if you were to trade silver for gold, guess what? It could be in your favor to trade gold for silver. And if that gap tightens up and we see 1 to 80, 1 to 70, 1 to 60, 1 to 50, 1 to 40, at that point, you can do the opposite if you so choose. Trade some of that silver for some gold. Guess what? The dollar bill price tag attached to gold and silver only matter when you're trading your dollars for gold or your dollars for silver. Once you get yourself into a position where you can trade silver for gold or gold for silver, now you're not thinking in dollars anymore. Now you're thinking in troy ounces. That's where you want to get yourself. That's where you want to be. Is that where I am? Not yet. Mentally, I'm there. Financially, I'm not there. I don't have nearly enough silver or gold to trade any amount of one metal for any amount of the other metal. I am not there yet. I am nowhere close. But guess what? I'm on my way. And that's where you need to be thinking. So right now, if you're worried about the spot price of gold going up too high, if you're worrying about spot price of gold becoming too expensive, or potentially eventually getting to the point where it's out of reach, can't get gold anymore, unattainable, can't afford it, it's out of your price range, even on a fractional level, smallest possible denominations, you still can't afford it. Little 10th ounce coins going for $500-$600. Little 1 gram gold bars going for $200, $250. And you just can't justify it. You can't justify packing that much cash value into such a teeny tiny, itty bitty piece of gold. If it were to get to that point, guess what? It's a good problem to have if gold is in your possession. It's a good problem to have if silver's in your possession. And you could, in theory, trade some of that gold for a pretty hefty amount of silver. And when the shoe's on the other foot, when that gold to silver ratio gap closes in, you can trade some of that silver back for the gold you had in the first place, plus much, much more. Rinse and repeat. That's what you need to be focused on. Focus on changing the way you think. It's not about, oh, gold is so expensive, the dollar bill value attached to gold is so high. No, stop thinking in dollars and start thinking in troy ounces and come up with a game plan of converting one metal to the other. Think of it from that angle. Think of it like that. Change the way you think, even if it's just for a split second. And just come up with a game plan. Come up with a strategy. Come up with a conversion strategy. See, we're already converting our time for dollars. Every single time we go to work, we're trading our most valuable asset. Forget the silver, forget the gold, screw the precious metals. Time is the most valuable asset that we have. And we're already trading that away. Something that's fleeting, something that we can't get back, can't buy back, can't rent, can't do anything. We could sell it, can't buy it. We're trading our most valuable asset for fake, fiat, glorified IOU debt note dollar bills. Which is sad to think about, when you say it out loud like that. But guess what? We can make the most out of a crappy situation, and we can take what's left over of those fake fiat glorified IOU debt note dollar bills, and we can exchange them for something with actual value, because the dollar bill doesn't have any value. It has no intrinsic value. Its only purpose outside of currency is maybe writing a note on. Oh, this is a piece of paper. What can you do with paper? Not very much. Doesn't have that intrinsic value that silver and gold have, or that fundamental value that stocks and index funds have. Little itty-bitty slivers of real companies. Real life-changing, world-changing companies that will be here 500 years from now, 1,000 years from now. Real fundamental value. Or silver or gold. Real intrinsic value. And how they're used in all of these different industries, and the scarcity of the metals. And how as time goes by, harder and harder to find silver and gold out there for us to acquire for wealth preservation purposes, hedging against inflation. Something with real value, internationally recognized as money, constitutionally recognized as money, biblically recognized as money. Real, true, honest money is what you're looking at on screen right here. Think of it in a different way. Think in troy ounces. Stop thinking in dollars. You trade your time for dollars. You trade your dollars for assets, even if it's assets on a very small scale. Little 1 ounce silver coin, a 10th ounce gold coin, etc. And guess what? You can play around with the assets. You can trade one for the other. Vice versa. You can trade silver for gold right now. You could trade gold for silver right now. You can make that conversion. And you can play around with it based on whatever the gold to silver ratio is doing. If it's in your favor one way, but obviously not the other way, you can make a small conversion, not a tremendous amount. And when the gold to silver ratio gap closes in and all of a sudden it's no longer in your favor to do it one way, but now it's in your favor to do it the other way, now you can trade some silver for gold. When the ratio gap is close, you can trade some silver for gold. When the ratio gap is far apart, you can trade gold for silver. And regardless of what the ratio is doing, there are people out there, millions of people out there, looking to trade one for the other. So there's no shortage of people who have the opposite goal of you as you. You have what they want, you have what the other one wants. You have what that person wants. That person has what you want. You make the trade. Bing, bang, boom, just like that. That's how you need to be thinking. So regardless of what the spot price of gold is doing, all-time high, and guess what, tomorrow another all-time high, then after that, oh my god, another all-time high, next week, oh my god, another all-time high, another all-time high. It's always going to hit new all-time highs. Every time it hits a new all-time high, it's going to be this big deal. Oh my god, new all-time high. Gold is hitting an all-time high almost every day back-to-back as of lately. So don't worry about it like that. Don't think about it like that. Stop thinking in dollar bills. Oh my god, the price tag attached to an ounce of gold, dollar bills. No, think of troy ounces. When you see the spot price of gold, don't think of, that's a lot of dollars. You got to think of, all right, how much silver is that worth? 90, roughly? Maybe I could trade a little bit of my gold for quite a bit of silver right now. Ratio gap closes in. Hey, I can trade some of my silver for a much larger amount of gold than I was able to do the opposite when the ratio is far apart. Start thinking like that. Think in troy ounces. Stop thinking in dollars. Only worry about the dollars when the dollars are still in your pocket. Before you hit the coin shop. Or before you invest them. Start thinking like that. If you guys like today's video, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Subscribe to my second channel for bonus videos and follow me on social media at Mykie DYDSS across all platforms. And of course, 3 quick things as we wrap up the video. Number 1, if you haven't already, try you out some Celsius Energy. That's right, it's a healthier alternative to the other energy drinks out there. You can get a 12-pack variety pack right now on Amazon. I will leave an affiliate link in the description so you can try out the different flavors. 2, if you're not already investing and you would like to, make sure to download Webull and fund your account. They're going to give you some free stocks just for doing so, and they make it really easy for a new investor to start investing because of how simple it is to navigate around on the app. Webull link will be in the description. 3rd and finally, if you need any silver or gold stacking supplies, whether it be airtight tubes and capsules, anti-tarnish paper, mini lock boxes, microscopes, the list goes on. Any silver or gold stacking supplies will be linked in the description for your convenience. And once again, I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts on stacking gold at this time? I understand that not too many of us are overly fixated on gold right now. We are a little bit, we prioritize silver a little bit more at this time, and I think it's probably for obvious reasons. Silver appears to be much more undervalued than gold. I'm not saying that gold is overvalued, but I do personally believe, in my opinion, that silver is more undervalued. And I think that there is a lot more opportunity for growth. I think there is a lot more potential in silver. Gold is more of the safe haven metal between the two. It's a good place to go regardless of what's going on in the world, regardless of what the spot price of either of the metals are doing. Gold is a fantastic place to go for stability and security. Silver is much more volatile and subject to take much more punishment when times get rocky. It's also subject to swing in an upward direction. Much larger percentage of a jump than gold typically does during the good times. So it's something to think about, something to talk about. Once again, 10-second recap here. Stop thinking about gold in dollars. Stop thinking about silver in dollars. Start thinking of precious metals in troy ounces and how much gold X amount of silver is worth. How much silver X amount of gold is worth. How many troy ounces of silver I would have to trade for that amount of gold? How many troy ounces of gold would I have to trade for that amount of silver? Start thinking about it like that. Trust me, it's going to change the game for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one. Don't you dare stop smiling. Peace.